Hey everyone, today we're going to be mixing kick drums, specifically in the Djent heavy metal space, though this can be applied to different genres as well, because what I'm going to be teaching you today is like a very generalized way of how I approach mixing kick drums that you can then build off of. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so let's listen to the unmixed kick drum first. I'm using the EZdrummer 3 Bright Room library, and I'm using the Gretsch USA Custom kick. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Very natural sounding, very flat on the top end, which is what I like to go for when it comes to kicks. But it can be better in terms of a mix context. So let's just hear that. So it's essentially a juiced up version of the kick. It's got more top end, it's got more low end, and it's more consistent throughout. And even though we're using programmed drums, I like to treat it no differently from a real life kick, albeit without the gating and the bleed, right? But yeah, I want to make sure that the velocities are as realistic as possible. I don't want everything to be at 127 or close to 127 just so that I can have a consistent kick drum. So the first plugin we're going to be adding is Drum Leveler. Okay, so this is Drum Leveler. I haven't touched anything in regards to the settings. I've just played around with the threshold just to catch the kicks. And yeah, so this is how it sounds. Listening back to it now, I think I do have the velocities pretty high up, but my point still stands. Moving on. I've now got an EQ, just adding a general lift to the top end starting at 1.5K, and I'm boosting 1.6 into it. Generally speaking, when it comes to my high end especially, I like to spread out my moves across a few different plugins. I feel like you end up getting a more complex tonal characteristic to the sound, as opposed to just having one plugin do all the heavy lifting. So I'm using 3 plugins to pull this one off. The next plugin would be Fresh Air. This plugin seems to be a channel favorite. I use this on pretty much everything if I'm trying to get that crispy, airy top end to my signal. It's got a lot of character, a lot of color, so that's what I'm using. I then have the SSQ plugin where I'm doing just 2 things. I'm boosting 12 kilohertz at 2 dB, and then I'm boosting 50 hertz at 4.5 dB. So let's just listen to how that sounds, and then we'll move on to the rest. Okay, so we finally reached the end. These are my last 3 plugins that I've got going on. To start off, we've got Pro Q3, where I'm mainly just killing out that mud from the kick, 300 hertz to 400. I have added some more low end and some top end, but it's whatever. Now moving on, we've got the compressor, and I'm using this as a way to enhance the transient response of the kick. We've got the consistency sorted out through Drum Leveler and from the fact that it's a virtual kick drum. But yeah, you want to make sure the attack time isn't too fast or isn't too slow. If it's too fast, you're going to crush the transient, and if it's too slow, you're not going to have the transient of the kick compressed all too much, which would result in a pretty lackluster kind of sound. So my advice would be to compress the hell out of it, play around with the attack time, and then dial it back to something more reasonable. I've got 7 dB of gain reduction on this, which is pretty hefty, but yeah, sounds pretty good. Moving on, we've got VCC channel, which is basically a saturator, and it's a very subtle sound. It's essentially going to make my kick drum sound more analog. But yeah, it's just a very subtle sound. It's just going to tame the top end of my kick drum a bit, and that's about it. You probably wouldn't be able to tell, honestly, but yeah. So there you have it. That is sort of my typical recipe when it comes to mixing a Djent kick drum. A lot of this is subject to change when it comes to an actual track, but yeah, this is a pretty good starting point for me, and I hope this was useful to you. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you in the next one.